Morning. Morning. While you are getting on, I am going to be sharing this out. First, I want to welcome you. If you are watching this on the replay, please hashtag replay so that I know that you were here. I certainly do appreciate my replay viewers. And feel free to skip ahead about a minute or so to get to the content. While Facebook is doing its thing, I am going to share this out. And my phone's moving kind of slow. All right. There we go. Make sure I have sound. Make sure I have sound. Okay, great. Got sound. That's awesome. All right. I'm going to be sharing this out. Okay, and I still have sound. Okay. Y'all know sometimes I have my moments where my brain just gets stuck. Okay, that's just the truth. Okay. And let me invite. I don't want to type in your ear, so let me move this keyboard. Okay, perhaps not. Okay. All right, almost there. Having some technical difficulties. Sorry. There we go. All right, that's done. Okay. So first, I want to welcome you to the show. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, and I help home business owners win the tax game by helping you keep more of the money that you earn and paying less to Uncle Sam in taxes. Okay, so today's topic is about dependents. Okay, so the question is about a dependent living somewhere else for a part of the year and then perhaps coming back home. All right. This can get a little hinky, okay? Let me just say that. So first of all, there are a few dependency requirements, okay, in order for you to be able to legally claim someone as your dependent. And there are certain tests, an age test, relationship test, citizenship test. So there are some tests. Now, if you're talking about if this dependent lived with another parent for 6 months, okay, 6 months is right down the middle. So the question is going to be who had more of the 6 months. There's 365 days in the year. So if they stayed at one place for 180 days and then stayed somewhere else for 185 days, then where they stayed for 185 days, that person can claim them as a dependent if we're talking about two parents. Now, if you've got two parents who have, time split essentially right down the middle, we got 182 and a half days over here and 182 and a half days over here, right? If you got two parents who have equal custody of their children, and they can't come to an agreement, then the person with the highest adjusted gross income is the person that gets to claim the child. So nuts and bolts is really best to hash this out in the beginning before folks go start and filing taxes and whatnot, because what happens is then if, one person goes to file, runs the file first, and then the second person's upset, and, then they file paper, and then the IRS gets involved, and you have to prove residency and all of that stuff. That stuff takes time, and it gets ugly. So what needs to happen here is people really need to sit down and have this type of discussion before any tax filing is happened. And especially if you're dealing with, past relationships or, divorces or anything like that, those things can be spelled out in a divorce. Okay, now let's talk about just, regular folks living in your house. Okay, so if you've got people that are living in your house, my girlfriend Falasha, they call them squatters, right? They're living in your house, they're eating your food, they're using up your electricity and all of this stuff. If you are paying for the majority of their upkeep, you can claim them as a dependent. And again, they can be a qualifying relative or something like that. And everybody's tax situation is different. So when it comes down to these dependents, you really need to make sure that you're dealing with a tax professional that knows the law, okay? And not just going to Ray Ray's Chop Shop, get your taxes done, and they saying, oh yeah, you can just claim everybody. No, you really need to deal with a tax professional, because if you wind up claiming someone as a dependent and getting a tax refund, and that turns out to not be true, you're gonna have to pay that money back. You're gonna be disqualified from some other stuff. And it really, nuts and bolts, is it can just be ugly, okay? But if you have people who are living in your home that you are paying for their upkeep, you can claim them as a dependent, all right? If you've got a student, if you have a student, a full-time student that's 24 years or younger, and we're talking about college age, between the ages of 19 and 24. If you are still paying for their college and helping them pay rent and stuff, even though they may not be physically living in your home, they're still considered living in your home. They're just away at school, okay? And so I keep reminding parents that they really need to have these types of conversations with their college students, because college students, they go and get their little job, they get a check, they get these this W-2, they get this 1098-T and go, woo, I need to go file taxes. And they go file their taxes, they get a tax refund. You claim them as a dependent, and then they mess up the whole big picture. That you need to help them understand that is the wrong answer, right? Because if you as the parent are paying more than 51% of their upkeep, and we're talking about the whole bill, okay? We're talking about tuition, books, room and board, car note, car insurance, if they've got that, health insurance, all of that stuff adds up. And if mom and dad are footing the bill, the college kid, I don't care how grown they want to be, have no business going to file taxes and claiming their own exemption. They may work and they may have to file taxes, but they need to make sure that they mark that someone else can claim them as a dependent if you, mom and dad, are paying the bill. So you need to have this conversation with your kids. It's coming up on the holiday season. They're going to be coming home for Thanksgiving, coming home for Christmas. You need to sit them down, look them in the eye, and explain this before you wind up having to pay some money back, and it's just ugly, okay? So I really hope I'm beating this dead horse to death, because trust me when I tell you, it happens more often than not with college students going to file their own taxes, and they get this huge tax refund, and they cause their parents some problems because their parents are claiming them as a dependent, and then somebody's got to pay money back. And usually it's not the college student, because the college student went and spent all their tax refund money. All right. So when it comes down to these dependents, if you're taking care of people, if you got an aunt, got a nephew, niece, cousin, whatever that is living in your home, they don't have a job, they're not paying any bills, you're taking care of them, you are physically caring for them, then yes, you can claim them as a dependent. But when we're talking about, and Leslie talked about some exes. But when we're talking about, a dependent child that's living in one home for 6 months with one parent, and then in a home with another parent for another 6 months, that's something that you guys definitely need to work out before the tax filing, okay? Because then, like I said, if you can't come to an agreement, it's the person with the highest adjusted gross income that wins to claim the child as a dependent. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to have two people filing trying to claim the same dependent, because then that's when the IRS gets involved, and you just don't want that. Can I just say that? You don't want that in your life at all. So, and guys, you can swap this out. You know, here's the one thing that people don't know. You can swap this out. So if you and your ex-spouse, or, you know, baby mama and baby daddy, whatever, you guys can actually swap this out where you claim them this year and the other person claims them next year. You know, you guys, take the time to figure this out on your own. If you need to go and sit down with a mediator or something, sit down and figure it out, okay? Because it's going to cause you a lot less headache later on down the road. It really is. And, you know, and it will definitely alleviate that, you know, rushing to go and, you know, the race to file taxes so somebody can claim the kid as a dependent. Just cease and desist. That's all I can say to you on that. Is just cease and desist. But yeah, so here is the other thing that you guys need to be aware about. Now, I did a live broadcast on this, you know, for starting next year. The IRS has passed some sort of measure that is going to require all refunds that contain the earned income tax credit, that they're going to have to verify your income first. Okay, so if they've got to verify your income first, number one, let's not be expecting and waiting on this tax refund. Okay, so we're talking about dependents. You have earned income tax credit, and you also have additional child tax credits and all of that. But right now it's focused on the earned income tax credit. Now, the refunds for 2017 were already delayed until February 15th. They did not issue any refunds with earned income tax credit until after the 15th. I think it was an earned income tax credit. But now we're talking about delaying indefinitely until they can verify the income. So, you know, so there's going to be enough time for the IRS to, you know, for computer matching and all of that. Okay. They're already going to be looking for something wrong anyway. So yeah. And it's really going to affect the lower income people. Okay. Let's just be honest. It's going to affect the lower income people. So when you're talking about, you know, who's going to claim who and all of that, guys, get your ducks in a row first. Hash it out first before you go file your taxes. So when everybody goes to file, you know, life is sweet, and then the IRS is doing your thing. You're not causing any additional complication by fighting over who is claiming who and who paid for what and all of that. Okay. So I really hope that helps you out. Dependents, yeah, that can be, it's not always a cut and dried answer. And so that's why I highly recommend you go sit with a tax professional, somebody who knows the law and who is going to apply the law. Okay, not do some loop it, swoop it stuff, because that's not what I do. Apply the law as it is, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so listen, that's it for me. If you haven't joined me in my community, you can head over to www.taxplayersclub.com. We're going to be having some tax classes coming up in October. And so I'll be excited to see you over there. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to all of my new viewers. I certainly do appreciate you being here. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow, same time, buddy. All right. Bye.